pressure. Just letting a little music play. Get my stretches out. This is why I have to do these things. I keep on forgetting. Alright, I hope you guys can hear me okay. Alright, let's waste no more time because I've been kind of wasting time just kind of making sure I have all this together. So, a little bit why I'm here today is gonna be going on in just a second, but just to go real quick, my name is Sean. And the song you just listened to is The One That Got Away by Bass Drop and Bards. Don't let the name fool you, however. He is a one-man band trying to put together music, and really for anyone willing to listen. There's a buy on his website, but honestly, you don't have to put anything in. It's it's just however much you want to support it. He puts that stuff out there just to get, for his own, for himself and for others as well. So you got to respect that. It's really good. I like listening to it, and I think he has a lot of talent, especially in composing. So just to continue, I will be putting a link to his Bandcamp in my own personal profile, and there will be other music as well. And feel free to buy his tracks or just download his tracks. Just click buy, and you don't have to pay a dime. But hey, if you want to, you can. So let's just move forward. So who am I? Once again, Sean. So don't forget. For the past few months, however, I really didn't go by a name. I kind of just played video games and talked, and that's the way I did things before. So this is going to be a little bit different in that I haven't done it before. It's me talking directly to a webcam, and I have stuff prepared. I have stuff written, but it's not necessarily completely off of that. I will ad-lib, I will go, off into rants if I have to, but what I'm truly looking for is practice. It's all practice, and it's all open discussion. That's what I plan on doing. So, like I said, I was playing video games, and simple as that, but something changed. And that thing that changed, I discovered I was going to be a father. So that's pretty big as far as things go. I mean, yeah. I'm going to be a dad. So I'm 23 years old, so I mean, that's a bit of a shock, but I'm really excited about it. I've never wanted it as much as I do now, and I'm glad it's happening. We found out it's going to be a boy. I actually have a video where I live streamed the reveal of my my baby's gender live on Twitch. And me and my wife, Andrea, did that. And all of our family was there to watch and found out the same day. And the other thing that they found out is that I'm joining the military. So this is a pretty big change, and it's actually kind of why I'm here. It's a way I can support them, and it's a way I can not only financially keep them afloat, but also kind of move forward in my life. Because after college, you graduate and you get your degree. I got my degree in political science, so I have my degree in unemployment. So putting to use my degree is one of the biggest things that I've been searching for. And really, military was the best way that I could think of doing both of those things at the same time. I will be joining the Air Force, so my plans are very diverse. Right now, I'm planning on going into my medical processing, so that means that they got to make sure I'm healthy. And it's kind of like a interview, but it's mostly just checking to see if I belong. Because I've already done my ASVABs, I've already done my tests and all that kind of stuff, and the paperwork. Really, all that's left is, all the talking that goes along with it. Telling them what jobs I want and moving on from there. So to move on, I plan on getting into journalism. Journalism, public affairs, broadcast journalism is the big one. But that means I need to be ready for both radio and television. So, one way my sweet buttery voice and face will be coming to you via the airwaves is that I need to practice, like I've said before. And yes, I do realize I just said I had a butterface, but that's the kind of attitude I go across most things. So I would be tested fairly harshly, and the best way I can think of doing this is to talk about video games. I know I've talked a bit about myself for about, 7 minutes here. But the best way I know how to do this, like I said, is video games, and I'm accustomed to that. And having factors which are unique to me, a first-time father, and someone who's going to the military with no preconceptions, except for, friends telling me things and all that kind of stuff. Here I go. So just I want to pop this up real quick. That's just an image of what I'm going to be putting on my profile in just a minute here. It's going to be a way of it's going to be the same image I'm going to be putting on my profile, and it's going to be a link straight to my buddy's Bandcamp, local person in Tennessee who's making some music. So without further ado, let's just kind of move forward. I'm going to leave this up real quick. I'll be taking it down in just a moment, but I want to leave that up just so if anyone has any questions, it's right there. All right, so here we go. So if you haven't guessed by the title, I plan on talking about No Man's Sky. And to start off, if this is the first you've heard of it, there's quite a bit of information to digest, and it may be a bit overwhelming. It's easy to grasp playing it, but there's a lot of, instead of art and, constant concept drawings and going back to the drawing board, there's math. And while there's a lot of math and the, technical stuff that I can't explain that goes into a game, the best way of explaining it is that if you've watched any of the IGN firsts, and I would suggest you do watch those after, during, or whenever, there's IGN firsts where they go into the gameplay and they play with the creator Sean Murray. And in this, they'll talk about the importance of, the algorithms that go behind it. But I'll be talking more about that later. So I keep on moving my hands. That's the one thing. So if you watched all of those, I'll still have some reflections that I believe are important. So, if you haven't heard anything, this will be a little bit more to add to that. All right, so what is No Man's Sky? To put it simply, it's a universe much like our own. Sean Murray of Hello Games has explained that this game is like no other, though the things in No Man's Sky don't operate like a game, but rather like its actual self. A planet is a planet, full of life and terrain, and the universe has over 16 quintillion planets, which includes stars and solar systems. So, if you've heard of this, I'm sure you've heard that number tons and times, and you're just exhausted with it, 16 quintillion. But for those of you who may be wondering how Hello Games did this, know that brilliant math is planing this world, and it has a sense of limitless wonder, which is great. It's new. It has basically, like I said, no limit. So when you go to a planet, it has nothing like the previous one, and it's in no way I don't believe very much a copy of anything else, because it's so new. I'll be talking about like some of the games I feel like it has similarities towards, but it has a feature in it where the best way I can describe it is, imagine a shape that's, you know, it's not round, but, you know, maybe to a faraway view, and just imagine every angle on that shape just to be edited slightly 16 quintillion times. So it's every planet could have massive changes or minimal changes, or, you know, it all depends. It's all generated right then and there. So, all right, who are you in this game? Well, from the best assumptions, you are one of many planetary explorers, and I'll just kind of put up some some slideshows. It's going to be going across just to give you a visual reference of how you'll be approaching this game. As you can see, it's very much so a first person. The first one right there is just a view of your ship. You're on one of the many planets, and you use your ship to, yes, fly, but it's also there to know that it's also going to change. Like low level and high level ships, you'll see maybe differences both inside and outside with the ships that you have. So just know that everything changes from yourself to well, actually, I don't know if your self is going to be involved. I don't know if there's like self upgrades to what you can do. I know there's like add-ons which make it kind of like an RPG, but I don't know if there's like armor or anything like that. So I know you can upgrade your gun. Anyway, point is, who are you in this game? From best assumptions, I think, I guess, you know, you're a planetary explorer. They don't really give you like a galactic federation or any sort of destiny, like you're one of many, you're a hero, you know, I don't really dabble too much in destiny. But the point is, you are one in a group, but it's not a labeled group as far as they've shown. And while exploring isn't the only role you take on, ultimately you will be exploring to some extent. So as you land on these planets, you'll have some effect on them, and them on you as well. And that's not to be all Quasimodo, but that's kind of awesome. So depending on the role you take on, you may develop your ship or your weapons differently, or simply aid your ability to explore and reach the ultimate goal, which is the center of the universe. Now, they have said before that, you know, the center of the universe is like the big thing you're supposed to reach, but they don't want you going there first. It's kind of like you can, but they want you to experience this. They don't want you to go, hey, here's the story mission, side missions are for later. In this, I mean, there isn't any missions. So, I mean, it's driven by your own personal drive. So, I mean, if you go straight to the center of the universe, you're not gonna be missing out on something that you can't go back to later, because it's all open. It's, as far as I can tell, like, really there's no limitations. it's very much an open book to what you can do. Now, as far as accessing some of the, like, as you can see here in this image right here, there's like a kind of like a larger ship, which they've kind of displayed as both convoys and like they much larger ships, like mothership types, which are which have been hinted that they're destroyable, where you can kind of get their resources. And I think they kind of act as trade hubs. The way I think of it is kind of like a tower to Destiny, but not, of course, a city, but a ship. And it kind of opens up that you can use the resources that you gather as trade, and you can work in economy. So there's a sort of money that goes along with this, but how you use it differs very much from any other game. So while nothing has been revealed about what that center holds, it's incredible that No Man's Sky believes that you're not limited to going there on your first chance you hop in a ship. So what's stopping you? Well, what's your enemy that you face? Let's put it better that way. Well, for explorers and combatants alike, you'll face the beings that inhabit these planets. Sentinels guard these planets from explorers making even small changes like killing creatures or taking large amounts of resources with mining. Think of these sentinels like an ancient being that's existed long before you, but still protects these planets, all of them, to some degree. And they vary on, like, from a tiny drone that flies. It kind of looks like a little bit like the Fallout, the little drones that fly and say John Henry Eden. So kind of like those, and they vary to kind of like a Star Wars like walker. You'll notice like a lot of similarities in these games. Not necessarily to take from them, though they have said they notice these similarities, but like just to be like, this has been done before, but not in this way. And I think that's important. They use robots and these sentinels not as, these are the evil guys, the evil people you have to face, but rather they're the protectors, the drones that remain of a lost past, possibly. So I mean, it could be a number of things, which is really cool. So keep going. Think of your exploring as taking of resources as a wanted level, like GTA but intergalactic. So I can't help but mention that each world has the feel and creativity of Minecraft, with a different experience every time. No Man's Sky is generated the moment you reach its terrain, and everyone else who reaches it can see that as well. So when you have kind of these features where each world is different but contains that same sort of like protective feature. It's almost like the phrase "you're unique like everybody else." So there's algorithms which change the worlds that you're in, but there's things that remain the same, such as the sentinels, your more basic formations that kind of respawn, or kind of like a living, breathing planet. So I mean, like, things aren't just going to sit still while you're not there. They're not going to be generated, but they might not be the same whenever you return. So that kind of leaves us with something else that's important, what kind of game is No Man's Sky? So if things are constantly changing and editing themselves and moving around, it can be kind of like Minecraft, in that it's creative, it's destructive, it's a number of things. So the best way I can describe it is that it's up to you. whatever No Man's Sky is really your decision. So, like I mentioned, you know, No Man's Sky is like the Minecraft experience. Sean Murray describes No Man's Sky kind of the MMORPG like no other, because it does not try to fill their worlds, as he says. Because I mean, whatever you're doing is mostly done alone. It seems that you don't really approach other players or group up and party up and clear planets and explore planets. It seems that you can do these things on your own. Now, while it does seem like you have a trade central hub which, you know, maintains most people together, these planets are vast, and it's hard to say that you'll ever really see somebody directly, though I'm sure it, since it is an online game, an online multiplayer game, that you can go with people and group up with people. But if you land on one part of the planet, say it's the west side, and someone lands on the opposite east side, it's very doubtful that, unless you know you're flying across the planet to meet each other, perhaps, that you'll see each other. So I mean, these planets are real size planets. So I mean, while they haven't said, you know, I mean, how many days it takes to walk across the planet just straight line, while they haven't said anything like that, it's best to assume that they're too big to fill. Like, there's not going to be 20-30 players on one planet. It's very doubtful, because I mean, even if you do have players on the same planet, which is highly improbable, it's very likely that they're not in the same place. Which, you know, it could be kind of lonely. Not to be like, it's lonely here. But kind of just to be... What's the best way I can put it? Just to say that, since much of the experience you're going to be experiencing is alone, really you're not limited to going to, like, let's group up and try to, you know, it's self-driven. So I mean, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of people have that drive to kind of have that Minecraft mentality, you know, make your own game, you know, make it your own experience. But some people, I mean, I've been victim of this, where where games don't have that same feel when they don't have a sort of guideline, even if it's very, you know, scattered. I mean, for example, Fallout has a very straight storyline, but how you get there is very scattered. But it still has that, you know, even if you go this way or this way, you can still meet up back up there and go to the end. So No Man's Sky doesn't have that, is what I'm trying to say. So large feats can be done alone or in a group, but it's driven by your own desire, and that gives you, and the game gives you the ability to do so, which is seemingly enough. Alright, so while I can talk aspects of the game all day, and I'm sure get you bored with it, I'm going to skip to a little bit of an open discussion. And the best way that I think this part of the part of this broadcast, the best way that it can be successful, is that if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them the best I can, though I'm not in any way professional, though I have read most articles about it and things like that, you know, procedural generation and the aspects of the game and interviews, and I've seen the trailers and everything like that. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But also, if you have any comments, like what are your favorite parts of No Man's Sky that you've seen so far, or things that you would like to see, or questions that you have. I mean, this is a very expanded game. It's really not limited in any sort of way except for how far you want to go. So I guarantee there's plenty to ask, plenty to wonder about. So as I'm doing this, I'll put up. Let's see. We're gonna take off this slideshow real quick and this image, and we'll pull up the video that I have loaded, and this will be kind of going just to kind of give you some visual aspects to what I'm talking about. This is the IGN's first. They did a I think it was like 15 minutes or more of just a dry run of No Man's Sky, and it's very interesting. It's very like it's not a doctored run. There's no sort of like he's going to one place and they're like it's not very scripted. Like they just land on a planet and they play. There's no sort of, oh, I have this little mountaintop planned out and this is all gonna look good, but outside of this the game doesn't work. They're playing on a planet. So it's good to see that true gameplay is already happening. Let's see. Before I start, however... Okay. Alright, sorry, I wanted to check that. Alright, so... Right now, they're, if you can't hear it, I just have it on a low like a low sound. But if you can't hear it already, they're kind of just swimming through one of the many water formations. Kind of like any terrain or mountains, or water is, you know, whatever, how deep, that kind of stuff is generated. So just this on its own is a unique feature. You're not going to see this lake copy and pasted somewhere else. You know, it's possible amongst a great algorithm for it to repeat itself, but not likely. Because the creatures in it are different. The plantation, or the plant life is different. Plantation. So it's all very unique, and I'll be going back and forth to the video and just talking as we go through it. So, like I said, if you have no experience in this at all, or you're just now coming up, feel free to ask any questions about, you know, things I may have talked before, or go ahead and just ask. I'm willing to answer. Really, that's what I'm here for. So, anyways, moving forward, the way I want to do this next bit is just to have, like I said, the open discussion and have my personal take on the game. I've talked a lot of the features of the game and, you know, what it has to offer, as far as, you know, how the worlds are generated, and, you know, who you are and what you can do. But I wanted to give a more of a personal feel, to make it feel like I'm also adding something to it. So if you just joined in, feel free to ask any questions, or if you're just interested in No Man's Sky and you want to tell me, go ahead. So the way I wanted to do this is, if you also had any questions you want to ask via Twitter, my handle is @LinkedInGaming, and you can ask me any questions. I have my Twitter up right now if you want to just ask me something, or just, like I said, post about No Man's Sky. You probably won't get an answer from Sean Murray. He's very hush-hush about the game. So I think it's good to at least get open discussion about it. So, like I mentioned earlier, No Man's Sky has a lot of exploration, and that can spark a lot of drive in a player. However, it also raises the question on how it will pan out. No Man's Sky still has a release date of to be announced, so it's very hush-hush, and it's hard to tell if it could be a few months, the end of this year, or sometime next year. I'm sure any time spent from the video, as you can see here, is time well spent. I'm sure they're fixing any bugs, or I doubt they're adding any new features to it. But since the game is very on the low right now, who knows what features we haven't heard of yet. So let's start with one of the more obvious features of exploration, and I think you get a good experience even just within one world, though it's not there an intention for you to spend all your time there, because you know, and only one world can only get you so far. A world can have certain low-level creatures or higher-level creatures that you can access, so you may have to spend more time in these lower-level planets with lower rarity creatures and really lower-level elements, everything. But those ideas can be scattered across the planet, because it doesn't necessarily say that one planet is full of low level, one planet is, so each planet could have low level, medium level, and high level somewhere amongst the planet. It just depends on where you land or how far you're willing to walk, really. So they haven't really, except for, you know, an aerial view, they haven't really given a in-depth view of how diverse or the climates are or the terrain is across the planet. So I mean, it's hard to tell, but from what they've said, planets can be poisonous, toxic, or just really inaccessible to a low-level player. So that means that starting out, you're very much a like a character in an MMO. You don't have very much tools to your arsenal except for your multi-tool, and you don't have many ways of protecting yourself except for, you know, your multi-tool. Now, how you do things, of course, is still up to you, but you still have to start from really a beginning point. Whether it's kind of like unnamed classes, because you're not picking something and being stuck with it. You can be a pirate just as much as you want to be an economist. It's just how you choose and when you want to do it. So it's good that you don't have to do multiple playthroughs. Your character is your character, and there's no point of no return. You're not picking a certain talent and going, okay, I can't go back from this. And you're not having to refund a talent. There's none of that. So while you can get a lot of experience in one world, the worlds are randomly and mathematically generated, so it's assumed you can miss plenty over that mountain ridge or in the water colony. If you leave and return to a world, the larger features are maintained, like your bases and your areas. If you've seen them before, you can see right there that there are NPC sort of ships that will land and kind of leave. So bigger features like that will stay. However, they also will remain gone if they're destroyed. So these landing zones or these hubs can be permanently removed. Now, I don't know if they'll be repaired, fixed, or eventually brought back, but that means that you can at least have some effect on other players. If a player lands on a planet you discovered, you can essentially destroy all the trade hubs and make it impossible for them to really stay there a long time. I guess that's the they haven't really explained the entire use of those landing zones, or if they're just launch pads to show that trade is happening back and forth. But if you leave and return to a world, some of the features that you can see right here, how he's doing this right now, I'm not sure if he'll... Actually, let's wait, because I think what he's going to do is... So right now he's shooting the rock and nothing's happening. And that's because his multi-tools to a low level. He adds an add-on to it, and then shoots it, and you realize that it's a mineable element that he can access. So that expands what he has in his arsenal as far as elements go. His multi-tool is now stronger and can break down more hard materials. And now that he's gathering that, it also expands kind of like the security, because they've said before and they've mentioned time and time again, sorry, that if you mine too heavily, just like if you kill a creature, you increase your wanted level more and more. So the more you get in this game, the more risk there is, the better off you are. But like they said, there's more risk. You can essentially get killed and respawn and lose everything that you haven't already sent up. Whenever you gather materials or you explore things, you essentially put them in your Pokédex, and the way you save it is by sending them up to these hubs, and they'll be scattered along. I think the way they have them placed is next to your ship, like your ship is like the thing that deploys it. Though they could be scattered across the planet as well, because not always where you land is where you're going to be needing a hub. So hubs could be scattered as well. So because of this feature where things change, and you can change some of the smaller features and some of the larger features, it gives it the aspect of being a living, breathing planet. While you can just leave and come back and gather some of the materials that have sort of respawned, it gives a feel that nothing is set in stone entirely, which is really cool for an MMO. Really, it's an MMO feature that, you know, things that respawn, nothing's permanent, those kind of things. But also that there's a line between what is permanent and what isn't. So one thing that I doubt, just as a personal take, is that a grasslands planet won't be changing into an arid planet, you know, from leaving and coming back. I think that once you land on a planet, or a planet is discovered by somebody, it is locked into that algorithm. Which means there can be some duplicates in some features, possibly, but I doubt it. But it also means that you're not going to be landing on one planet, leaving and coming back and being completely surprised. If you leave and go to one of the planet's moons, and then you come back to the planet at the same point, it's still going to be that planet. It's not going to change rock formations or mountain formations. It's simply going to kind of respawn the changes. So if somebody else lands there, they can still have a fun experience there. That way, say somebody mines all the material across 100 miles, no one's going to be wanting to land there or play there if everything's dead and everything's mined. So the simple idea behind it is that every planet is still experience. You can still experience it and not go, oh, I missed out on whatever that planet had because this guy killed all the people. So I mean, it still has the ability to allow you to have fun, even though other people could kind of grief, I guess is the way of saying it. So, the one thing that I think can change is that it is mainly the aesthetics. Kind of, this rock used to be formed round, now it's kind of jagged. Maybe that'll change as you leave and return. That's a possibility. But, you know, I mean, really plenty of questions arise. But my personal take is that each world is significant and can range from slight to massive changes. So, really, I think the best way of approaching No Man's Sky is to go, well, this planet I've experienced a lot on this planet, and I could go to the opposite side, but why not we just go to another planet? So it's just like, it's almost like if you're bored with that planet, or if you're feeling a lot of uniformity across that planet, you can move forward. You're not limited to, you know, going, I have to 100% complete this planet. There's no maps or borders to which you can go, okay, I'm going to clear this zone. Because it's a living, breathing planet. You're not going to make it desolate, and you're not going to make it... You're not going to have zero effect on it, but you're not going to completely destroy it. Now, destroying planets, that would be something that would be unprecedented and completely Star Wars-like and kind of stealing, but we won't talk about that right now. So, in the video, I think it already passed by that point, but the way they describe it in the video is that when they're flying, you can kind of see it in the distance that each formation and each like terrain, and not necessarily like creatures just yet, but from a sky view, you can almost see it forming like on a grid, and then it kind of silhouettes into a shape. So the world is generated without loading screens, and you can go into space without a loading screen. So that means that everything is generated as you go. It's kind of like it's generated and continues to be generated across the planet. So there's no telling what can be across or at the end of that horizon, which is exceedingly crazy. To think that this can be loaded onto a PS4, my PS4 is like right there, so the thing that they can be loaded onto a PS4 is... So, I think it's great. It has plenty of potential, and why I think this is so beyond awesome and unique for a video game, or while I see that, you know, I also see problems. There's plenty of issues to be had with this, and it's best explained in, I guess, a question. So, why do we explore? It's kind of less of a video game question and more of a, why do we as humans explore philosophy? So, to put it that way, why do we explore? To gain knowledge and power to some extent, based on your personal preference. So whether you know, it's simply, you know, discovering the terrain for knowledge, or using discoveries made on that terrain to increase your ability to explore, that's power. So I mean, there's other features, but I'm breaking it down in those two ways to make it simple. So, to me as a kid, well, I would explore what was over the ridge at the end of the hill, or to see something new, or to be on top of the world, or the feat of climbing that ridge. The point of it is that you can have much more basic reasons to doing things as a kid, and I think that's important. And I think No Man's Sky achieves that, at least two of those.
Hey everybody, I'm
qualities,
Ryan
because,
McCaffrey with IGN. Welcome to
July's
IGN First.
You can explore
we are profiling No Man's Sky. We are celebrating the
you may not get the feat of climbing it,
No Man's Sky, and exploring what the heck it actually is, because
removes
everyone's so curious. We're going to be
just
deep diving into the game all month long. I'm joined by the founder
that's yet to be seen.
Of Hello
so I mean,
Games,
two of those
Roy,
qualities is pretty darn good.
And genius.
However, when expanded to 16 quintillion worlds,
so Sean, you're going to start.
It's hard
by
to
giving us a little
tell.
Guided tour, and then maybe we're going to drive a little bit.
In each of those worlds, being none like the other entirely.
We're here just on a totally.
It seems like an
planet.
effort in
it's not
futility.
Like
trying to show you anything.
No one will ever entirely explore the worlds, but all may get to the same end with the same materials.
Some crazy creatures
so,
I want to show you or something like that.
What makes your exploring
and
unique?
I guess that's what we've been trying to show at E3.
Well,
is,
you make
just
it unique.
Giving people a flavor of like
this
is the game.
Make it important. You shoot the creature and gather that resource, and lastly, you experience that mountaintop. To walk up to your friends and family and say, "I swam in this lake and found this cave formation like no other."
So
and something to the end.
Trying to show people,
to be like, I did something
to show you guys
different from everybody else.
Things that you might do in the game, right? Like
which is
lots that you can do, but
which can be good enough.
Some idea of some of the roles that you
but
have. So, for instance,
something to that end.
Weird-looking fish.
To what
there.
end, though?
So, if we can find them again, then we can
isn't enough.
Scan them.
There's obviously like enough content to say.
Those. Right.
Yeah,
so that was
like
really
there's
easy.
that's enough.
Okay. Right.
Like there's plenty,
but they're not
more.
particularly rare fish.
But
so actually,
worlds are already filled with the content that you're
but it's worth something. So
meant
if I go
to gather.
Beacon, which would be like
and
the red marker
to some
there,
gamers,
which is way in the distance,
while like
actually,
change is awesome, to the
if
completionist
I go
gamer
to
who's
that,
maybe used to playing
over there,
Assassin's
then I
Creed,
can
where you can
upload that
100%
discovery.
complete
I
a
can name
terrain,
it, right? And I'll get some money.
or somebody who
So if you look in the top left-hand corner,
who likes to play, say, for the achievements and get all the achievements,
and that's the number of
that might not be
units
as
that
fun.
you have. So that's your currency.
I can think of
and you use units to buy new ships.
Fallout New Vegas as being a good example,
ships,
in that
weapons are
you have to do multiple
generated
playthroughs
so
to get
there's,
all of your
literally
experience. You know, save at a certain point and try out each faction to really get to a certain point.
That you can discover,
but
your ship there looks pretty cool.
Really,
already,
none of those experiences are going to be the same. And if you try to combine
so this is
them,
probably
you get
low
less experiences of one, and it's never the same.
Really good cargo
is my
space,
point.
but not great weapons.
You can always try to
so if I discover
recreate the
planet,
experience that you had playing that game, but it'll be ultimately different because you kill different things, you go across different ways, you take different paths.
On how hostile
so I mean,
it was, how hard it was to find,
that can be fun.
Same goes for
I don't doubt that
then
can
I'll
be
get
fun.
Varying amounts of money. Right. When I do, I name it. I'm uploading.
Whenever
to
you're
this
joining
atlas,
these worlds,
which is
whenever
central
you're
computer
gathering
players can
resources,
access
your
it.
creatures and fish are simply silhouetted, and then randomly generated hundreds and thousands of times before different creatures.
So what's his problem?
They did it in a
doesn't he know I'm trying to demo?
You're just a nice,
sort of God
explorer.
mode
You're not doing
explanation where they had
if I don't
a
want to
creature
kill him, I can
that
shoot
was
at the
just
ground. I can kill him
like
if you
kind
want.
of like randomized.
Well,
Every feature of
I
that creature
guess
is randomized.
you offered,
of course,
so he's got to die.
So
they
that's
all
another
made
way
sense.
you
You
can
know,
play
there
the
wasn't
game.
like a creature
You can
with
just,
like
you know,
a
not
horn
come
that
in
went
peace.
through its
You can
body
kill
like tons of times. Like
right.
every
When
creature
you do, you'll find
makes
that
sense,
people
kind of like
don't
a
like
Borderlands.
That one's smart. He ran
It's,
away.
you know, randomly
It's running away
generated
now because I have shot some creatures, and they do
but
remember that. But it's drawn some
has
attention. So this is a
similar
sentinel,
features, you know,
and he
like
saw me
horns,
doing it,
you know,
and you can see in the top right-hand corner of the
or
screen,
can
I've got a
have
wanted level.
tails and that kind of
That's
stuff.
what that is. Okay.
But
So
it's also
now
not like Borderlands
I've,
because
got a 2-star wanted level.
You are
they
really
didn't
pissing this planet
type
off, Sean.
So
words into it, and
basically
then
from all
the
over
words
the
are
planet, these sentinels will now start making their way
like
towards
they didn't make
And how can we get
16
rid of the one
quintillion planets.
so
they didn't type in,
by evading
alright, this is going to be
them, so
planet number
I
1
can
and go
fly out
all
into
the way to
space.
16
A little Grand
quintillion.
Theft Auto esque in
They
that regard.
Yeah,
created
luckily
the
they
algorithm
haven't
for making these
painted
planets
that particular
and let the math
mechanic,
do the work.
so we can steal it.
Um,
No, it makes sense.
and I think
Basically,
the way they
universe
did it
has
is probably
rules.
is they
Actually,
removed
these
the
sentinels,
algorithms that didn't work.
are a race of self-replicating robots, right?
Because, you know,
Totally
maybe
violated
the
prime
algorithm
directive on this
Yeah.
planet.
So they
basically couldn't
are
solve
now
the problem
getting
that
a
they were
bit
looking
more.
for. And
bit
what
more
they came out
troublesome,
with was what
and I'm
they
probably
had.
not
And
gonna
so they can,
survive for very
what they can do is they can click
And this is all,
randomize,
none of this had to happen.
you know, till their
You know,
fingers
it
bleed.
started
this is
with a
actually-
ghost.
It's
They
all
will
my
always
fault.
have
In
You
fact,
made that
creatures.
choice,
This is 100%
and
my fault.
it escalated quickly, right?
I mean,
Did? It sure
say
did.
you
So, all right,
say you
we've respawned.
find, you know,
Is there a penalty for
100,
death or in the
200,
sense
So
of-
300
the discoveries
monsters.
I've made, the resources
Does that
I've
mean
gathered
that there'll be
that I
more
haven't uploaded, or
for
the
you whenever
resources
you
that I haven't stowed
hit the
or sold
randomize
on,
button again,
they're
or you
gone now.
join another planet?
What?
Probably.
It's really hard to listen to you because I just
But
keep
What?
looking
I
at
don't
it.
want to hear that right now. That
Well,
it's
no,
really
my-
hard to listen.
My
You make it
eye
important.
just
So
keeps being caught by other
you
interesting
shoot that
things
creature
going on the
and-
screen because it's
That's what makes it
what
better.
what everyone is really
Let's
latched
avoid
onto.
the goat this time.
What everyone is latched onto with No Man's Sky is the
So I'm
sense
gonna-
of discovery.
I'm going to
Sean.
But-
shoot the ground, and he'll get.
So
He's gonna get
creatures and fish, or you know, in
So let's do
terrain,
something a bit more chill. out.
Let's do it.
really have
mine
no
some
end.
resources.
Like, there's, like
Okay.
it,
So
they've really
you can
created
see
this,
that
make it
when I
seem
mine
like
some
there's
resources,
no
I get a
end game
scientific,
to whatever you
symbols
may be doing.
underneath. So we have our
So,
own periodic table.
Nice.
I imagine
No
the
Man's Sky.
trophies will be something like
so
discover
you know, we
X
could
amount
have
of
used the
creatures
real
up to
world
some
one,
ridiculous
but we were
number,
worried
and I'm sure there'll be
people
like
would
varying rewards
So-
based on
can't
their
do that in a
rarity.
video game.
No,
I think
know.
they've described it
so we had
as
to create our own.
no,
it's our
creatures
own
that
kind
you
of
can
sci-fi
simply find right
version of
there
the real
in front of
world
you
periodic table,
are
right.
can be low level
so just
and
like
give you low
periodic
level,
table,
low amount of resources.
You can.
But
like,
the major
combine
difference
elements.
is
so
that
I can mine these elements, and I can
while that
combine
can
them,
seem like
and that will
hours
create
of
kind
fun,
new,
it can also
like new alloys.
be like,
and
well,
actually can
I
sell
hit the
them
top
for more
upgrades,
money, basically.
and I'm
Because
trying
all
to
of these
be
things that I mine, I can sell. I
the
can
best
sell them
explorer, the
at
best
trading posts, like this
at
one. So you can see
trading
other
and
traders doing the same.
market work, and
these would be other
or
AI,
trying to be, you know, just
potentially they
to
could
fight
be other
everybody
players.
and be a pirate.
So
Um,
they're landing there,
but-
dropping off their goods. Go away, guys.
it can
Run
feel
away.
like
There you go.
Scare him off.
that
Yeah.
there's a wonder in that there's
So yeah,
endless
they're,
amounts of
coming to that trading post
of
they're
exploring,
trading
but
goods
the fear is
with the
that
kind
you
of
won't
overall
get to
galactic,
the end,
kind
and that
of
you never
economy.
will. It's
Right.
kind of like
So
a
I can actually be a trader in the game.
a purgatory
I can buy
of
low
endless
and sell high,
experience.
And I could actually be really,
So it can be
really
a bit
boring and
daunting.
never visit a planet, right? I could
at
just
what
go from
point
space
does
station to space station,
finding a
kind
new
of
monster no
gathering
longer
resources,
become
buying
fun?
them,
What
and selling
at what
them.
point
Yeah, we'll
does
talk more about the
do
economy
we say,
later
okay,
on
I'm
in
done
our
exploring
monthly IGN
planets.
first.
I have a chain of
so yeah,
planets that I've
another thing
explored
that I can do is,
from one point to
I
the
can go
center of
into
the
my
universe. At what point does that
and
no
I can
longer
browse through
become
this.
fun?
So you'll
Is
see
it
that
is there a certain
your
point
ship,
where
your weapon and your suit
that
they all
becomes
have an
more of a
inventory.
chore,
And in that I can
you'd rather
install
just kind of
technologies,
see what the end is
which are
like,
kind
and
of
then
upgrades.
if you want to play.
And I can also store kind of goods,
So,
resources.
really,
and
the
I
way
can combine them
they
from
seem
here,
to
I
be
can
going
craft
about
them,
it
and I
is
can
that
use it for, trade
they don't
and
expect
selling,
you
later
to
on.
And it looks like there's a player progression
really
system.
be playing
It seems
this.
You're the rank of journeyman right now.
Yeah,
at a
that's
certain
really
point.
about my ship. and
They
it's the type
could,
of
you know,
hyperdrive
release
that I have.
DLC, but
I
you know,
can
they
also
have
browse all my discoveries. We just
released
found
no
that one little fish.
evidence in doing so.
But
So,
later on,
I
as
think
go through
that
the game,
whatever
that
they're
becomes,
releasing is
kind of
as is.
really
You know,
important, actually,
there's
as an
plenty of
explorer, because
content,
it fills in with
but I think
everything
I
that
Hello
I've
Games
ever collected
realizes
before.
Wow.
Right. So every
that
discovery that
this
I've made,
game is
everything
going
that I've
to
found, so it's,
eventually
you know,
become,
actually becomes like an
you know,
encyclopedia, basically.
at a certain point, any player who
So I've
plays it,
installed a new
no matter how
technology
much,
in my
they're going to
weapon.
stop. Like, they
So that's
realize
how
they're going
I
to stop,
upgrade.
and
That's
that's
the kind of
the
RPG
end. And,
A No Man's in Sky.
you know, they,
Wikipedia.
like, this isn't a
The-
game that you
it's
pick
so
up
catchy.
again
We were going to call it
after
that.
you're done playing it. You don't,
sorry.
you don't,
It's your.
you don't put it
myself
down and go,
out.
oh, I'm going to explore something.
why they pay
They
you the big
realize that at a certain point, it's not going to be fun anymore.
So, like right now, I can't mine this, right?
Because
because my weapon isn't powerful enough. But
I am
installed this
just talking
upgrade,
about,
and so now I have
No Man's
a
Sky today.
Plasma weapon.
So,
wow.
this is
And
just
so
the
I can
first
use
episode
that
to get a feel of
blow
how I want to
giant
do
holes
these.
in the world.
Or
I will
make
have more
caves,
varying
theoretically.
topics.
Yes, and there are
Um,
cave networks that you can
As I
find,
go
you can
forward,
burrow
this is just the
down.
first
And
episode.
all of this, I mean, all of this,
kind of
everything on the
a,
screen is just
a
math,
quick
right?
dry run.
Yeah, that's
underneath.
So
everything that you see.
I just
Everything's
realized
procedurally
on top of
generated.
that
Yeah,
this
and
is
it's different
titled
on every
wrong
planet.
thing,
So
so on, so,
the cool thing about this
um,
planet is that it is a planet. I can walk in any direction for days and days
Right.
and weeks.
Are there any planets that don't have oxygen, for instance, that are just instantly
Well, actually, it's your
inhospitable?
suit that allows you to
Got it, okay.
breathe on planets. And there are some planets that are toxic. There are some planets that are
Let's update that.
radioactive.
Okay.
And
So,
those planets. Are
I am just
actually,
talking about No Man's Sky today.
Like
I really wanted to get
your-
across because this
you
game is
need to
so
upgrade your
large.
suit,
I feel like it
your ship
deserves
to be able to survive. on those planets.
It deserves
So I can just
more
hop my
content.
ship
I mean, I have
and fly out.
content that can go
And I
on
can
for
also
days
just take
about
off
discuss.
into
You
space.
know,
That. Okay. Well,
Well,
just blew my mind. That was the
this-
thing that just happened.
this
We were
game
just
is
walking
going
around,
to
you were
be on
swimming
PS4.
underwater, and now you're in space.
I think it's going
yeah,
to
so
be
that's
exclusive.
the cool thing about the game. I mean, we're here. That's
Though
one of the
I
moons of this
doubt
planet.
that they're not going to limit
There's
it
another one.
to PC. Like
there's a
I'm
planet underneath
sure,
us.
I'm
So
sure
if
at
we
some
look the
point
space
PC
station
will
over
get
there
it.
in the distance. You can
Unreal.
barely see it. But you can see little
But
traders
I think
going over to the
they've
space
just
station.
announced it as a
Yeah.
PS4
We can fly
exclusive.
over to them.
So I mean,
So you can
of
see,
course, to all PS4
you know,
owners,
freighters warping in and
hooray.
out. And you'll actually see every now and
This is a
then
good exclusive.
kind of,
it's not
like
based
pirates
off of
walk in,
anything
start
previously.
attacking,
So I mean, this is one of the
kind of
first
making
exclusives
trouble.
that
So
were
we've just seen
well,
that there. So
one of the first few
pirates walked in.
that have been new on its own. But I think
they're
it's
probably
going to be
gonna try
solely
attacking those freighters. And if they do, I
PS4
reckon they're probably going to get
for
wiped
now.
out. Yeah.
which is good.
So when he did, he dropped his.
I think
loot
Oh, look at
with
that.
games
Just
like
swoop
the new
right in.
Bloodborne
swoop
DLC
in
and
and grab it. So
um,
you can kind of play as a scavenger.
take it like a
How are
lot,
some of
taking
the
King
different ways you can play the
DLC
game?
and
Like for instance, purely exploration.
other things like that.
for-
It's good to have
purely
a
for
good
scientific discovery.
Yeah.
game
And
Purely for
out
combat.
instead of just
you
a
can absolutely play for
downloadable
combat.
content
That's a really
being
popular
released.
way to play the game. So you can be a
So-
trader as well. But playing for combat.
My next
you
point
would,
and
you know, typically
the
either
next
start
part.
attacking
Oh, no problem
ships
for
like that
answering.
and join
Yeah,
in
I
with
have
those
no
pirates,
no issue
and maybe
answering.
stand a chance
Ask
of
away.
taking down a freighter. And if you
So,
take down a freighter,
my next
or
point
even
is,
try and take down
why
the
should you
space
care?
Station, if you manage to achieve
What
that,
sets
that is
the
a
game
huge,
apart?
You know, huge achievement.
My twist on this is
and
that
will
each
net
game
you
has
a
what I
lot,
like to call
basically.
morals and
You know, that
values.
is kind of a real windfall.
A game
but
like
you're
Call of
going to
Duty has
probably
morals
get
and
into a lot of
values
trouble
because
trying
it's
to do that.
clear in
You'll draw a
what's
lot of
good and
police
what's bad.
attention.
Even with
So
a
it's kind of
Kevin
quite a
Spacey
big
twist involved, there's a
intergalactic
clear
war,
idea
if you will.
of
So
what's doing good and what's
preparing to
doing
be
bad.
amazing. You are so now approaching the atmosphere of a
You're not playing as a terrorist blowing up buildings going, I'm doing the right thing. So the values are also
And you can
clear
see that even
because
from a distance, you can see
the mode in
these,
which you achieve those goals
you
are
know,
simple as
mountains,
pointing and shooting,
these rock
which has value
formations,
in
I can just
strategy
now
and tactic.
press triangle and land.
Now I don't plan on going on into like how
This is
how
literally the
valuable
most
that
open
is
world
because
game of all time.
I don't think
Was,
that Call of
yeah,
Duty
open
has much
universe,
to
I
offer
guess.
on its own. But
Those
you can
moon
see my point.
dinosaurs are a little intimidated
So,
by you.
what does No Man's Sky have for a child or a teenager?
As they should be.
I'm assuming
They've
unless they
heard what
add blood and
The
gore
word gets around the galaxy
to the mix, that this will be a
And so
PG
these
with
crystals that you
animated
find there
violence
on a lot
type
of
game.
planets,
Yeah.
they're
So
not
kids
actually
will
worth
be
that much,
playing
but
this
when you
game.
start off in the game, they are
As
like,
adults,
a
we
way
can
to
see
earn
the values from video
actually
games and
destroying these doesn't
but
really grab
a kid
the
may
attention of the
need
Sentinels.
that little push to
If
understand the
you
difference
were to
between
mine a planet really heavily,
using the
then
multi-tool
that
for
would-
self-defense
that causes
and a
lot
capital
more
crime in No Man's Sky.
So let's just,
For
if we
example,
do a quick scan,
if you're landing on a
grab some
planet and you're being attacked by, I think what
you'll
they
also see a bunch
first
of points of
face
interest
is a little
light up
goat
around the
creature.
planet. So these are all places we could go and visit.
This little
They
goat
will
creature that
be,
they face
some of them will be
attacks them
ancient
and
relics,
can kill
some of
them,
will be,
but
actual,
lacks
like,
its
trading
own
posts, kind of shops where you can
ability
get things,
to
maybe find
really,
weapons, buy new weapons,
um,
and some of them are just kind of random drops. and stuff.
understand like
So
like
earlier you
the
mentioned,
way they do it first is like
discovering things and getting to name them.
they
So
act
if you
they act
discovered
stupid. They
these
kind of
little
just let the monster
baby
attack them,
dinosaur
and
things, you could
so
have
they
named
have a
them
choice.
Shaunosaurs, and then it would be that way for everyone.
The
who
only
finds
choice
them.
I
seems to
could
really
have
kill
named
it.
Shaunosaurs, yeah.
But later they
And I
they
could,
find
yeah,
out that
go
whenever you
across
kill
the galaxy
monsters, that
just
these
naming
sentinels
everything
come
after myself.
come
If
out
I
of the ground
so
or
Well,
out of the
yeah,
sky
why not?
to attack you. So
So I can also just, once I'm out in
what
space,
the
hop
fear
into the
is
galactic map.
is
Oh
that
my goodness. Okay.
So
this is your only
everything that
option.
we've just seen is
However,
actually
they
one
later
planet
show
with
that
some
you can
moons.
shoot the
So we
ground
haven't
and
even
scare off the
touched on
creature
what a solar system is,
and
you know.
move forward.
But every
and
one of these is a
the
solar
creature
system.
will kind of
Every one these
remember
points in
that
light
you
is
know
a sun that has its own set of planets.
that you kind of
planet-sized
acted
planets
as
that
like the
have
bigger,
creatures like
stronger
everything
being.
else.
So I mean,
If I
Might,
zoom
might
around
some
a
of
little
them
bit,
be light
what's important to note
24/7
is
or
that
dark 24/7.
there's two
or...
choices in
Well,
this.
actually, if you fly down to the dark side of a planet, then it will be nighttime. If you fly down to the light
But-
side of a planet, it will be daytime, and halfway in between.
Really,
will be
to
kind of
the
dusk or what
unguided
have you.
youngster or kid or
And they're all like
those are
spinning
kind
on their
of
own
vague
axis
senses of good and
things like
bad
that. So
because
that's what causes day to turn to night.
killing creatures and alerting an ancient sentinel
so
on each
normally I would
on whatever
only be
planet
able
you
to
may be
reach
landed on
The planets
gives you a
nearby me,
wanted level.
Those ones that are joined by lines.
Yeah.
With my current
But
hyperdrive.
Not
but
necessarily.
given that this is
It
kind
wasn't
of
necessarily a
my build of
wrongdoing
the
because,
game
like I
and
said,
can do whatever
if
I
the
want,
creature attacks
You
you
are
and you
literally
kill it,
God.
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Although I
self-defense.
can
But
still
you
get
know,
killed, right?
who's to say?
So what
According
does
to
that
these
say?
sentinels, you're doing a bad thing.
So I can just zoom out
But
from
according
this
to
and I
yourself,
can kind
you're
of
just
select
protecting
anyone.
yourself and
hope
keeping yourself
everyone-
alive.
I mean, this is.
So what's more
I've
valuable?
never
It's hard
seen
to say.
anything like this in a
So-
video game before.
This wanted
I'm
level,
having a bit of trouble comprehending
as I explained,
what's going on because this is.
starts whenever
incredible.
you kill
that,
creatures or you mine too many
that over there,
elemental
That's the
elements,
center of the galaxy.
which they've
So that's where
created.
people are trying to get to. So they
Right.
start off. on
And
the
those
outside
sentinels
edge.
The ultimate
come
goal
up,
of the game
but
is to
Yeah,
reach
for a
that.
lot
It's
of
hard to
people, at
tell
least.
Right.
Some people
because it's
will
kind
never
of a
try and
gray
make that
area
journey. They'll
to
just,
tell which is good
you
and
know,
bad.
You could actually just start up on a
Explorers,
planet, and just spend your
innovators
whole
alike
time
are thieves of
exploring it.
nature.
So what awaits us in
And
the
No
center of the
Man's
galaxy?
Sky makes you
Spiritual
aware of that.
enlightenment, untold wealth,
Perhaps
immortality.
this could
Peter
spark,
Molyneux.
you know,
Peter Molyneux.
future environmentalists, you know,
Cu-
like
you know,
protecting
Curiosity
the
Cube.
things that
You
are
know,
It
working
would be
and
amazing
alive
if
in
Peter
nature
Molyneux were the center
and
of
not
the
trying
universe in No Man's
to
Sky. I'd
take
just like
them
to
for
go on
ourselves.
record.
But
We'll see what
to
we
varying
can do.
degrees,
No, so
this seems kind of
there is
ridiculous.
a reason that you would keep playing.
Yeah.
You know.
Why wouldn't we as
Um,
humans
if you got there,
not want
um,
to
But
understand
for a lot of
and
people,
grasp
it'll be the point where they feel
the
like,
things that we don't
okay,
understand?
I've completed
So,
No Man's Sky, and we're cool with that. They'll put
this
down
could
the pattern at
mean-
that point.
But
Some
does the
people
game
will
that,
end technically?
No.
No. it
people
never,
want
you can always
to
go. There's always
explore
anywhere else to
and,
go.
more to explore.
um,
Yeah, but there
stay
is
away from these
certain
sentinels,
things
but it
that
also could
become
kind of
available to
spark
you,
that GTA
certain
enthusiast
reasons
mindset where like
why actually
I'm
the game
taking everything by
sort of
force,
has, like,
and
almost like a new beginning
the things that
when
are
it
stopping me
So
are
are there
stopping
sort of
progress.
gentle
So I mean,
narrative hooks
both
to slowly
answers
lure
are
you towards the center of the
wrong
universe
and
that
right
you're
for
then free
different
to ignore,
reasons.
or
But
is it purely about
there's no like there's
finding
nobody
your
telling
way
you
and just
like
somehow
you're doing good because
being
you're
lured
on
by
this
the center of
side
the
and
universe.
these guys are
Like
doing
random.
bad because
I
they're
will
on
do
this
that.
side.
I will happily do
It's
that.
all very open,
So
and,
at the outside edge,
which is good.
Things
It's
are
a,
pretty
it's
safe, actually.
I think
Wait,
to the,
control
the
is
first person
vibrating
view,
now.
you
What
know,
does
it's
that mean?
because you're near
it's
a
good.
star.
Okay, let's take
So
that.
what's clear in No Man's Sky,
And if you
at
hit square,
least,
we can
is
walk.
that
Lay in a cold.
consequences or cause and effect
And we will see what
of
awaits
one's
in this
actions
new universe and on that new planet
can
later on
happen
in
when
IGN
you
First.
kill
Be sure to
or
stay tuned
steal
all month
or
long. So much more to
you just
discover
gather too
on
much.
IGN First.
It's almost bad to say killing or stealing because it can be a number of things. Oh, Prime Rex, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. We'll let that dance for a while. All right.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan McCaffrey
So,
with IGN. Welcome to
there's really
July's
no
IGN
judge
First.
or
we
police,
are profiling No Man's
but
Sky.
your
We are
fate
celebrating
at the top
incredible
of a
potential
5-diamond
of No
wanted
Man's
level.
Sky and exploring what
We haven't really
the
given
heck
a
it
name
actually
for it,
is because
but,
everyone's so curious. We're going to be just
these
deep diving
sentinels
into the game all month
do
long. I'm
essentially
joined by
police
the
your
founder
actions. They're not
of,
like a
Hello Games, Sean Murray, also the programmer
morally upright
and,
paladin
genius
type creatures.
behind
They're just
No Man's
known as
Sky. Just
ancient
take the
beings
compliment.
that were only
So,
programmed
Sean,
to
you
protect this
are
planet.
you're going to start by
So-
giving us a little guided tour, and then maybe we're going to drive a little bit.
Yeah. So we're here just on a totally normal planet. It's not like I'm trying to show you anything in particular.
don't
Pretty
feel shy.
average No Man's
Here.
Sky action, basically.
I appreciate
it's not
the
like
follow,
there's some crazy
and I
creature that I
appreciate
want to
you
show
watching.
you or something like that.
I am myself
and I guess that's what we've been trying
a
to show
married
you
man,
three,
though.
is
So I can't say
just
that-
giving people a flavor of like this is the game.
Yeah.
as
I can
it
say
is.
that I'll
This is
talk.
your kind of
I can say
average
that this guy's
Yes,
single.
we're happily married.
So
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
have
not
a
married.
jetpack
I'm
today,
single.
that's what I was using.
But
About,
I can say that
yeah, so we were kind of
lurk
trying to
away,
show
talk
people,
away, either way.
I guess I'm trying to show you guys some
I
of
will
the
be here.
things that you might do in the game, right? Like there's
yeah,
lots
so,
that you can do, but I'll give
the-
you some
the point of
ideas
it
of
is
the
that
roles that you might have. So, for instance, we saw some weird-looking fish
Minecraft,
over there.
like
So if we can
a
find them
game
again,
that
then we
has
can, scan them.
a sense of limitlessness.
And we've now discovered those.
It can have
right?
an,
So
it
that
can
was
do
really
a number
easy.
of things to
Okay, right. But
anybody.
they're not
It can
particularly rare
spark
fish.
imagination.
So actually, that discovery isn't worth that.
And that's a big feature of sci-fi.
But it's worth something. So if I go to
love
a
sci-fi,
beacon,
just
which
as a
would be like the
personal,
red marker
like
over
both
there,
bad
which is
sci-fi
way in the
movies
distance,
and
actually, or there's another one
good
there.
sci-fi novels. I
if I
love
go
all
to
science
that,
fiction because it can
get
have
back
the
over there,
effect on
say,
the artistic mind.
Then I can upload
I
that
think this goes
discovery.
hand in
I
hand
can
with
name it,
entertainment
right, and
of
I'll
our
get some money
generation,
for
like
doing
right
that.
now,
So if you look
especially.
in the top
Movies like
left-hand
Gravity,
corner, over on the
Interstellar,
left-hand side of the screen, we've got a
The
number,
Martian,
and then a little
both the
U
movie and the
symbol,
novel,
and that's the number of
and now No Man's
units that
Sky
you have. So that's your currency.
are
and
bound to
then
make a
Got it,
few
okay.
kids
and you use
interested in
units to
space
buy
travel.
new ships, buy new weapons.
The blonde guy
The
was my
ships and the
roommate.
weapons
He is
are procedurally generated.
you can see
as
it right
well,
there.
so
He's
there's, like,
playing Assassin's
literally
Creed Unity.
hundreds of thousands of different.
But
kind of
he is
variants of ship and
he is
weapons you
my
can
been my
discover,
roommate
right?
for
Ship there looks
was it
pretty
close
cool already,
to 2
but
years
what,
now?
is that a low level
So we're
ship? Is
reaching
that a
2
high
years.
level ship?
So
Is
this
that
So-
is probably a
We're bound to,
low-level fighter ship, I would say.
Yeah, we're bound
It's
to
actually got a
do
really good
do
cargo
things to
space,
each other.
but not great weapons.
Got it.
So if
Just so you know, a little disclaimer right
or I
here.
discover
I'm married to a
a
woman.
creature or something like that, then
That's a
I can upload
bromance
it.
that's
I'll get
happening
some
right
money
there.
for that, and depending on how hostile the planet was, how hard it was
back to the
find,
space travel.
or the same goes for a creature.
The importance
then I'll
of-
get varying amounts of money for that.
Hey, there's a lot of things
when I
coming
do,
out
I name
that
it, I'm uploading
really
it to this
make
atlas, which is
space
central
travel
computer.
seem
Got it.
wondrous
But,
and
That all players can access
that
that?
all players
you know
can
the
access.
the final frontier is no
so
longer the
something was
final
just
frontier.
attacking
There's
me there.
more out there to us.
And that's this little
And
ghost.
especially when
What's his
nowadays
problem?
when
Doesn't
things
he
like
know his
NASA
problem?
are
Doesn't
kind
he know
of
I'm trying to
being
demo?
You're just a nice,
shut
you're just a
down
nice
and
explorer. You're
features
not
of
So,
it are
if
kind
I
of
Oh
don't-
being
my goodness.
If I don't want to kill him, I
removed
can
as
shoot at the
important
ground.
because
I can
it used
kill
to
him
be
if
that
you
space
want.
travel was
Well,
important. And I think
I
that
guess that you
entertainment
offered,
bringing back
so
those things,
he's got to die.
and
So that's
especially a
another
video
way
game
you can
like
play
this,
the game.
have the
You can
ability
just,
to spark
you know, not
the
come in peace,
imagination.
and you can kill all the creatures.
and-
right? But when you do,
Now they may be
you'll find that
disappointed in
people
how
don't like
far
this.
Dude, that
behind
one's smart,
we
he
are
ran
in
away.
comparison
He's
to No
running
Man's
away
Sky.
now because I have shot some creatures. and they
Due
do
to a
remember
lack
that.
of pirates
But it's drawn some
and
attention.
space
to the
economies
Sentinel,
and
he saw me doing it.
but
and you can see in the
crazier
top
things have
right-hand corner
happened.
of the screen, I've got
We,
a
we don't know what's out there, so I mean,
so now I've got a 2-star
maybe
wanted level.
You are
maybe
really
this
pissing this planet
it
off.
can sound foolish,
So
but I mean,
basically from all over the planet, these
if someone
Sentinels
looked at the
will now
moon
start
and
making
we
their
were on
way
the moon one
towards
day, I mean,
And how
Why
can
not?
we get rid of
So-
the wanted level?
So by evading.
I mean, we have a
them,
black
so
president.
I could fly out into space.
A little Grand Theft Auto-esque in that regard.
Yeah, luckily
So,
they haven't.
just to keep going on this
that,
point,
that particular mechanic, so we can
mainly
steal
because it's
it.
the main feature of this game.
No, it
I want to
makes
get
sense.
across
Basically,
that
this
exploration
universe
leaves a
has
lot of
rules.
open
Yeah.
doors
Actually,
to
these
interpretation.
Sentinels
And
are a race of
Checking on No Man's Sky Twitter page,
self-replicating
especially,
robots, right?
Sean Murray
Totally
has a lot
violated
of
the
pressure,
Prime
like
Directive.
really a lot of
Yeah.
pressure.
So they
Not only from fans,
now getting a
but
bit
also
more-
other PS4 games as
a bit
well.
more
Other
troublesome,
PS4 games are
and I'm
taking
probably
this
not
game
going to survive.
that
for very
draws a lot of
So-
features from
and this is all. None of this had to
really a
happen.
lot of games.
It
this
started
is
with a
actually-
goat.
It's all my fault.
They're going, we
You
like
made
this,
that
like,
choice.
This is
like we want to
100%
know about
my
And
this.
It escalated.
And he does this in a very
quickly, right?
humorous
It
way,
did.
but he's like
It sure did. So,
very
all right, we've
hush hush
respawned.
and kind of
Is there
private
a penalty
guy.
for
Yeah.
death, or in the sense of
So
kind
the
of
discoveries
just
I've made,
to himself,
the resources I've gathered that I haven't uploaded,
comfortable
or
in
the
this
resources
world.
that I haven't
Like
stole,
he
stowed
plays
or
this
sold
game
on,
and he
they're
goes
gone
throughout
now.
this world.
what?
I think right here he goes
it's
like
really hard to listen to you because I just keep.
the guy has trouble
What?
listening.
I
just
don't
'cause
want to
he
hear
has-
that right
he
now.
sees a
It's
creature
really
and
hard
he's
to
just-
listen
My
to.
eye
He's very a
just keeps
relaxed
being
kind of
caught
guy,
by
and
other
he-
interesting things
He
going
has
on
a lot of
on the
those
screen because
inspirations
it's-
that you can see
the
throughout
whole-
his
the-
game.
What everyone is really
Let's
latched
avoid
onto.
the goat this
But
time.
the thing that really
What everyone
grabs
is latched
me
onto
is
with No
that
Man's Sky is the
So I'm
sense
gonna-
of discovery.
the-
I've got to
That's-
shoot the
the
ground,
way he
and
leaves
he'll get
things
He's
scared.
gonna
open
get
to
yeah.
interpretation
He's
can be
So let's do
awesome
something a
in a
bit more
complex
chilled out.
thing.
Let's do
Let's
it.
mine
But-
some resources.
okay.
So
It still leaves you in
can
that kind of
see
gray
that when
area
I mine some resources,
that,
I get a
Nothing
scientific,
is permanent.
symbols underneath.
Yeah.
So we have our own periodic table
So-
in No Man's Sky. So,
No Man's Sky is a new
we could have
universe.
used the real world one, but we were worried people would learn.
I don't know how quite how the laws.
We can't do that in a video game.
No,
physics
I know.
or
so we had to create our own
martial
it's our
law
own kind
or
of
things like I don't know how those things apply
version
exactly.
of the real world
Right.
periodic table. Right?
But
so just
really,
like the periodic table,
the best way I can think
you
about it
can,
is that
like combine.
while you
elements.
can't
So I can
necessarily
mine these elements,
build in
and I
this
can
world yet,
combine them, and that will create kind of
you can at
new,
least get the feeling what it's
like new alloys
to be
and actually I can sell them on
the
eBay,
first
basically.
of something.
Because all of these things
You
that I mine, I can
kind of
sell.
get
I
that
can sell
new
them
feeling
at trading posts like this one,
kind of like
so you can see other traders
a
doing the same.
space age
These would be
colonist
other AI
who is
potentially they
not
could be
necessarily
other players.
inhabiting these planets
So,
because you're not filling it with people or
They're
things,
landing there,
but
dropping off their
you're
goods.
filling your
Go away,
society
Damn
with
it, go away.
knowledge, information,
There you
and
go.
Come off. See ya.
perhaps pushing that
So yeah,
forward. I mean,
they're
imagine the first
coming to that
people
trading
who
post,
came to
they're trading goods
wherever,
with the kind of overall
like the very first
galactic,
people, there was a lot of discovery
kind of economy.
Right.
and finding things
So
out.
I can actually be a trader
and
in the game.
as
I can buy low
people
and
began
sell
to
high, and I
live
could actually
longer,
be
colony
really, really
reform.
boring and never
But
visit
maybe-
a planet.
maybe
I
in
could
this
just go
game,
from space station to space station.
You're kind of
kind
those first people,
gathering resources,
those first
buying
people
them,
to
and selling.
go
Yeah,
outside.
we'll talk more about the economy later
It's
on.
like
in our month
you're
of IGN first.
you're the people on the Wally spaceship,
So yeah,
and
another
you're just
thing
going
that I
back to
can
Earth.
do is
so that's the way I
I can
think
go
about
into
it.
my UI. I can browse through
all I
this.
can really
So you'll
input
see that
or
your
output,
ship,
because I'm not super
your weapon,
technical about this,
and your
is that
suit, they all have an inventory.
I imagine my kid will
and in that I
definitely
can
experience No
install
Man's Sky at some point.
which are kind of upgrades.
But I hope
and I
at
can
least
also,
that
store.
you know,
kind of
I'm still
goods,
playing it.
resources,
I mean, maybe
and
years
I
from
can
now.
Combine them from here. I can craft
Just
them, and I can use
because
this for, trade and
I feel like
selling,
I don't feel like this is the
later
first
on.
of
It
many,
looks like
or
there's
this is going to be a
player
long
progression
line in a
system that seems
trilogy
you're
or
the
something
rank
like
of
that.
journeyman, right?
But I
Yeah,
do
that's
feel that
really
this
about
game
my
has
ship
plenty
and
of
the type
potential
hyperdrive that I have.
to
Right. I can also
spark
browse
what
all my
open world
discoveries. We
means.
just found that one little fish.
because you have games
but
like
later on,
Fallout coming out
as I go through the game
that are
becomes,
big but
kind of
ultimately have
really
borders.
important. Actually, as an explorer,
Ultimately,
because it
most
fills in
games
with
have
everything
some sort of
that
border.
I've
There's
ever
an
collected
end
before.
Wow.
Right.
to wherever
so
you're discovering.
every discovery
I mean,
that I've made,
I'm sure this
everything
game
that I've found,
won't let you
so
explore
it's,
inside every spaceship or
actually
anything
becomes
like that.
like an
It's not like
encyclopedia,
you
basically.
can
Interesting.
sort
So I've
of
installed
go
new
through and
technology
enter
in
these
my
things. It's
weapon.
not about
So
that.
that's how I upgrade.
It's
that's
mostly
the kind
about
of RPG element.
A no man's
understanding
sky
that without the world
Wikipedia,
being
if
filled
you
with,
will.
so
cities
catchy.
and
We were going to call it that.
civilizations
I'm
that
sorry.
It's your.
I'll see myself
there's
out.
room to explore just on
That's
its
why
own.
they pay you the big bucks.
I mean, we're one planet
So,
amongst
like right now, I
many.
can't mine this,
amongst
right?
Yeah.
Because
plenty
my
of
weapon
galaxies
isn't powerful
and
enough. But I installed
stars
this upgrade.
suns
so now I
and
have
moons
a
and things like that.
plasma weapon.
We're
Oh wow.
we may
And so I
be
can use that to
one
blow
of many
giant holes in
peoples,
the
but the
world.
or
point is
make
that
caves theoretically.
we
Yes.
can spend
And there are
thousands
cave
of
networks that you
years
can find,
trying
you
to
can burrow
explore what's
down.
out there.
And all of this,
So,
all of this.
I think this
everything on
game
the screen
gives a
is
little
just
bit of a
math,
window
right?
into
Yeah,
what
that's
that
right.
means.
Everything that you
A
see.
little window into
Everything's procedurally
how
generated.
we're
Yeah, and
very
it's
small
different
speck
on every planet.
into
So the cool
a
thing about
very
this
big
planet is that it is
multiverse
a planet.
or
I can
parallel
walk in any
universes,
direction
whatever
for days and
whatever
days,
comic
right,
series you
and
you
weeks
subscribe
and
to.
weeks.
Are there any planets that don't have
so-
oxygen, for instance, that are just instantly?
I guess that's like a
Well,
final
actually,
note.
it's
You
your
know,
suit that
there's
allows
no
you
pressure.
to,
Got it.
Sean Murray.
breed on planets, and there are
But
some planets that are toxic.
I
There's some
think
planets that
a
are
lot of
radioactive,
future games and
those planets are
really,
actually
how
like,
I raise my kid
you
will
know,
depend on
your-
it because
you need to upgrade
these
your
games
suit,
have
and your ship to be able to survive.
plenty to
on those
offer.
planets.
Simply
So I can just
simply
hop on my
being
ship,
an exploration
I can
game.
fly out.
This game has plenty to
I can
offer.
also just take off. And
A lot of games are really guided,
That.
like I said
Okay,
before,
well, just blew my
in
mind. That was
exactly
that was the
what
thing
they're
that
trying to
just
get
happened.
across. You know,
We were just walking around.
you're
you
the
were
good guy,
swimming
beat the bad
underwater, and
guy,
now you're in
or
space.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about the game. I mean, we're here. That's one
you're
of
the
the
good
moons of this
guy,
planet.
do things this
There's another
way,
one.
learn
And there's a
my
what
planet
it's like
underneath
to be a
this.
thief,
So if
learn
we
what
look
it's
at
like to
space
be
station over here in
a
the
hunter.
distance,
You know,
we
like
barely
it's
see it.
you're
You can
put
see
into
little
roles many
traders
times
going
in
over to the
games. In
space
this
station.
game,
Yeah.
you're given a
fly
very
over to them.
broad spectrum role, which is an explorer.
So you can see
Because
you know, freighters
anyone
warping
can
in
be
and
an
out.
explorer.
And you'll actually see every now and then
man with a gun being an explorer, you know,
pirates warping,
man with a walking stick being an explorer. It just,
kind of
it's
making trouble. So
it's a much
we've just
broader
seen that there,
range than
so
I've ever seen before,
pirates warped in
and
there.
I'm personally excited about it.
And I think they're
So,
probably going to try attacking those freighters. And if they do, I reckon they're probably going to get wiped
really,
out.
all that's left, you know,
So when he did, he dropped
is-
his loot.
Oh, look at that. And you can just
what's,
swoop right
you know,
in.
what are we missing?
And grab it. So you can kind of play as a scavenger.
The features of the game are, you know, are
How are
understood
some of
really
the different
to.
ways you can play the game?
It can be easily
like, for
understood,
instance,
but,
purely exploration, for purely for scientific
What aren't they
discovery.
showing
Yeah,
us? That's the
and
that's
for
the biggest
combat,
question.
You
know,
can absolutely play for combat, and that's a really
and
popular way to play
I'm
the game.
glad
So you can
that
be
they
a
aren't
trader
telling
as well.
us.
But playing
But I'm
for
also,
combat, you would,
there's part of me that does
you
worry,
know, typically
because
either start
really,
attacking ships like
a
that
lot of
and join
games
in with
these
those
days
pirates,
are hyped.
maybe stand a chance of
They're
taking down
hyped
a
up in
freighter,
a lot of
take down
ways,
a
mainly
freighter,
because
or even try and take
you
down
kind
a
of
space station.
make that build
You
up
manage to achieve that,
and
that is a huge, you know,
throw the
huge
game out,
achievement,
and everyone's like,
will
and
net
everyone
you
goes
a
for the
lot.
game, midnight release, that kind of
You know,
stuff.
that is kind of a real
And if they're
windfall, but you're
disappointed,
going to probably
game's
get
made
into a
out
lot
with
of
their
trouble
money,
trying
and
to
they
do
don't have
that.
to
You'll
worry
draw a
about
lot
it.
of police attention.
And before
So it's kind of
rumor can
quite a
spread,
big
you know, there's no way of stopping it.
So I'm preparing to be amazed again. You are now approaching the atmosphere.
Not to say that this
of
game
the
can
moon,
change that
this
or
particular
break
moon,
the chain, but
and
the way I think of it is,
And you can see
Hello
that even from a
Games is
distance, you can see these
new, and it's
you know, these
the
mountains,
game is new.
these rocks
The
and
person making the
formations, and I
game
can
is
just now
very
almost
different. I think
diagonal
Sean Murray can be kind of expressed the
This
same
is
way
literally
as
the most
Tim
open world
Schafer
game of all
from
was yeah
from
open
Double Fine
universe,
Productions.
I guess.
Both very kind of
Those moon
laid back type
dinosaurs are
characters,
a
but
little
with
intimidated
very
by you.
serious concepts in their video games. Because video games is ultimately an art.
As they should be.
An art form
They've
that
heard
we're
what
meant
I
to
did back
understand,
The word
kind of
gets
like a
around the
book. We
galaxy
can
fast.
interpret it in our own way, but we can
And
also,
so these crystals that you find there on a
you
lot
know,
of planets,
define it based
they're
off
not actually
of
worth
what
that
the
much, but when
critics
you
say.
start
So
off
I
in the
mean,
game, they are
really
like
that's up to
a way
you.
to earn some money easily. And
Right.
actually, destroying these doesn't really grab the
But
attention of the Sentinels. If you
I think
were
this
to
game
mine
could
the
change
planet
it.
really
Could
heavily,
change the chain.
then that would. You know,
It's a
that
PS4
causes
exclusive,
a
so
lot
I
more
mean,
trouble.
it's
So
it's
let's
good to
just,
have a game
if we
on
do
a
quick
console
scan,
that's
we'll grab
so
some of these creatures.
big. I don't know
You'll also
how
see
many
a bunch of points
gigabytes
of interest
of
light up around the
information
planet. So these are all places you
or
can
how many
go and
gigabytes
visit.
of
They will
storage
be,
it's going to take.
You know, some of them will be
But,
ancient relics. Some of them
I can already
will
say that I'm
be,
willing to play it.
actual,
Like I
trading
said, you know,
posts, kind of
what's
shops where you
what's
can get
left in
things,
this game to
maybe
really
find new weapons, buy new
explore is up to
weapons,
you.
And some of them are just kind
There's
of
plenty of questions
random
on
drops and stuff.
aspects
So
of the
earlier
game.
you mentioned discovering
what they
things
have
and
to
getting the
offer.
names. So if you discovered these little
But
baby
really,
dinosaur things, you could have named them Shaunosaurs, and then it would be that way for everyone who ever finds them.
I could have
the best
named
way I can think of it.
Shaunosaurs, yeah. And I could, go across the galaxy just naming everything after myself. If
like I
so
mentioned earlier,
Yeah, why not?
I'll put up the image again. My buddy
so I
has
can
a
also
local
just,
band.
once I'm out in space, I
He's
can
kind
hop
of
onto the
it's not even you know, they go out to
So
bars. That
everything
kind of
that
thing.
we've
He
just seen is
produces
actually
music
one
from
planet
his
and some
own
of its
home,
moons. So we
and
haven't
he
even touched on what a solar system is.
he is a one-man band, does
but
all
every
the
one of these is a
instrumentals
solar
and
system, every one
vocals.
of these points of light
And
is
he produces
a
music.
sun
They're
that
called
has its
Bass
own
Dropping
set of
Bards.
planets, planet-side
And they have a
planets,
Bandcamp
creatures,
website where they
life,
produce
everything
music,
else.
or he produces
Might
music.
some of them
rather.
be
And he has
light
a lot of
24/7
stuff
or
out
dark
there, and
24/7?
I think
or...
it's I
Well,
think
actually, if you fly
it's
down to
very
the dark side of a planet, then it'll be nighttime. If you fly down to the light side of a planet,
It's-
it'll be
it's a
daytime,
risk,
and
you know,
halfway
he's
in
putting
between
himself
it'll
out
be
there,
kind of
but
dusk or whatever.
I think
and they're
can you
all
do a
like
dare?
spinning on their own axis and things like that. So that's
What
what causes
is-
day to turn to night.
what dare.
So normally I would only
But
be
yeah,
able to reach.
I'll be putting
the
a link to
planets
that in my
nearby
Twitch
me.
page and in the
Those
comments
ones
as
that are
well.
joined by lines.
Yeah.
With my current
So,
hyperdrive.
I mean,
but given that this
supporting
is kind of
him is
my
you know, you
build
can
of
get
the
his
game
stuff for
and I can
free,
do
so you don't
whatever I
have to
want,
put any money
You are
towards it.
literally God.
Yeah,
You can just listen to it.
exactly. Although
He puts that
I
stuff
can
out
still
there
get killed, right?
because he wants to. So I mean, I think
let's
that's
say.
extremely honorable. I mean, I think that's why a lot of Twitch broadcasters do this stuff.
I
So,
hope everyone.
Putting that up
this
there, I'll
is-
leave that up there, and I'll kind of take down this video and just kind of put up that slideshow that I had earlier. Self wedgie. No, I don't know. Daniel, I I won't perform a self wedgie. Just because I worry for my boy goods and my health. From Marcus. My phone is loud. But yeah, it's nice to see that the stream has gone for an hour. It's good to talk open discussion with others. Is that a angry face? I can't tell. But No Man's Sky, I think, has plenty of potential, and I will try to talk about it more as time goes along. And I think what I really want to talk about next is less of games that are to be released and we know so little about, and more about games that we know about. And because there are plenty of games out there right now that are, DLCs, the next in the series. We got Fallout 4, we got the Bloodborne DLC. We have plenty of stuff that's out, and plenty of stuff that has been streamed to no end. I just thought that No Man's Sky was a good thing to get across because it was kind of just announced and then gone the next moment. I'm not sure if it's like a money issue or it's like a production issue, but it seems that, like for example, you have a game like Broken Age. They were really not able to get a lot of marketing out there because the game itself was released in 2 parts. So a lot of the people who played the 1 really liked Broken Age Part 1, and Part 2 was good as well, but there was a big gap between the 2. So really, I imagine they lost a lot of money that way. So, because Hello Games and Sean Murray are both new to this game production world, I doubt they have the money of a game like Assassin's Creed or Halo to really spend on that kind of stuff. So I can't tell if he's just amping it up to increase, his money that he gets, or if it's really that he only wants to get a basic framework out there and to have people understand it. That way, when they play the game, they know what they're doing, because that's all really we should know in a game. I mean, anytime Call of Duty releases a trailer on anything, I don't really care about the story. But I mean, really, from most movie trailers and game trailers these days, you can tell exactly where they're going and what's going to happen. So I mean, this game really leaves plenty to the imagination and really doesn't give any sort of like guide on which way it's going to go. So I hope it's not a marketing scheme, giving so little stuff to viewers, but I don't think it is. I think it's him being hush about the game, and him also trying to say that to really enjoy the idea of exploration and then go from there. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to kind of play my little outro, and just really, if you have any questions, I'll be here to answer them. I'll be on for the next few minutes here. I'll be muting my microphone, but I'll stay on for the next few minutes just in case any questions pop up, that kind of thing. Kind of like a final open discussion in case anybody has any questions about No Man's Sky, or myself, or anything like that. This is the first episode, so I mean, it can go any number of ways. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that, and this is The One That Got Away by Bass Droppin' Bards.
She's the one we got
All right, folks, that is the end of my broadcast. Thanks to everyone for watching. There's plenty of people in and out. But this will all be on YouTube for anybody to watch, so I will be posting that. Like I said, I will also have credits to this music on my page. Hopefully I can get some artist recognition in every broadcast, but if I can't, I can at least do some of the stuff that I know. So it was really good to do the broadcast. Thank you, Prime Rex, again for the follow, and Daniel for the weird request. But I will see you guys next time. No planned dates for when I will be doing my next broadcast, but hopefully, depending on this, I will be doing another. So,